Father Moses Berry is a priest in the Orthodox Church in America, a writer, founding pastor of Unexpected Joy Orthodox Mission in Ash Grove, Missouri, a small town in the Ozarks, which is where his family is from. He is also co-founder of the Brotherhood of St. Moses the Black and the founder of the Ozarks Afro-American Heritage Museum. I was really glad for the opportunity to spend some time with Father Moses recently at the 2018 annual conference of the Brotherhood of St. Moses the Black, and he graciously agreed to sit down with me for this interview. So I hope you'll enjoy this episode from my interview with Father Moses Berry.
Since becoming Orthodox, I've learned that some of the impulses that I have toward right and toward wrong are, some of them are made up in my own mind, and some of them are quite true. So Orthodoxy has taught me to not trust myself. The first line, the first sentence in Unseen Warfare is, don't trust yourself. And because so many things have happened to me in my life that I think it has a certain meaning. And maybe it doesn't mean that at all. Maybe it means something entirely different. I know when I turned 21 in the Missouri State Penitentiary, being in a very small cell, 4.5 foot by 6.5, with 12-foot ceiling and no windows. This was before prison reform. And they were beating a man one night. His man name was Pretty Boy from Illinois. Whether or not he was pretty, I do not know, because we were on solitary confinement. And as one of the saints says, one of the desert fathers, I do believe, but a smarter person can correct this. One of the desert fathers says that one of the difficulties of being in hell, is not to be able to see the face of your brother. We were all, as he described it, turned with our backs to one another, which was hell. And so I don't know if he was handsome or not, because we were on solitary confinement. But I do know that one night, quite late, one of the jailers came down, and they took him from his cell, and they said, and they beat him with a transistor radio wrapped in a towel. And every time he would pass out, they would pee in his face to revive him. And I was just a young boy. I'm 19 years old. 20 years old. And I looked into the cell. There's a little slot at the bottom of the cell, and I saw them doing this to him. And I thought, oh my goodness. And I made a prayer. And my prayer, I've not made a better prayer before or since. And that prayer was, Lord, if you help me, I will serve you. Well, the next day, the jailers came down to my cell, and they said, Barry, and my last name, Barry, put on your clothes, you're going home. And I said, I know that old trick. You're going to get me out in the hall and do something to me. I think maybe at that time, they deliberately hired sadistic guards, or tough guys, not sensitive men, with strength, but just crude people. And so finally they said, no, just stay in there. And I thought, oh my goodness, should I stay or should I go? So I said, okay, I'll go. And I walked down the hall, this corridor, and I thought, they're going to shoot me. That didn't happen. I went downstairs to processing. They gave me my clothes, and except my boots. I had some brand new pair of Tony Lama cowboy boots. And so I went straight to my lawyer's office, caught a cab. Jailers gave me money for the cab. How odd. So I get in the car, go to the lawyer's office. He said, oh yes, last night. I like to say it's during the time I made that prayer. But the night before, one of the arresting officers came clean because they set our house on fire. and came in with the fire department. Illegal search and entry. We're guilty of sin. We had 15 pounds of Afghanistan hashish in that house. We sold drugs. And so we're guilty. He said, this man confessed. And I said, oh my goodness, this is a miracle. And it seems as I was going actually I was going back to the dope house, because my friend and I had a nice little house in Jefferson City. We'd sold drugs out there. And I went straight back there, and that voice seemed to be saying in my ear, if I help you, you will serve me. So I go home and I did the thing that this Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, have you heard that? After the ghost of Christmas Past had visited Charles Dickens, Ebenezer Scrooge on the first night, he said, and he was considering what had happened to him that caused him such shock. He said, perhaps it was a piece of undigested meat that caused hallucinations. That's what, he didn't say that part. Perhaps it was a piece of undigested meat. And that's what I was saying, essentially. Maybe that was just coincidence. Maybe that was just the way it is. Orthodoxy has taught me to not judge myself to determine what something means. We have to know what the stoplights mean, or else we'll run the light. With things concerning our soul, we don't know what these things mean. We don't know what reward we get from heaven. We don't know what punishment we get from hell. But we do know that the great black poet Phillis Wheatley, who was tried by the Continental Congress of the United States of America for being a mimic. You know what a mimic means? It was the charge that they would charge certain black people with. Because they said she could not be that smart, she must be imitating little white girls. But she was pronounced the real thing by Benjamin Franklin. And she went to live with a family in Boston called the Wheatley family, where she wrote obituaries and all kinds of little short poems for the wealthy in Boston. One of her poems says, "'Twas grace that brought me from my pagan land. 'Twas grace that taught my benighted soul to understand.' So listen, Christian people. Even darkies," referring to herself, and also, I think, darkness of soul. "Even darkies, as black as Cain, may become refined and join the angelic train." I think, my goodness, the transformation that we seek is only in the Lord. But we, like men who look at ourselves in the mirror and behold ourselves, quickly turn away and forget what manner of man that we are, because we say in our own reasoning, this is not the cause of that. Even profound things. You had a kidney transplant 2 years ago, going for a 2-year checkup on the 13th of this month. 12th of this month, 11th and 12th. And it was a miracle. The doctors said it was 85% match. 87 is twins. They said, "Was this your sibling or one of your children?" And I said, "No, it was a white lady that I've known since we were wild children. Heathens." And they said, "It's impossible. The match is too close." I said, "Well, man, you don't have to take my word for it. She's up on the next floor." And he goes, "Wow." So that's miraculous, don't you think? They gave me my operation. Bishop Neophytos from Kenya was there. And he at my bedside. Have you ever seen pictures of that? He was at my bedside. It was so wonderful. And he prayed prayers for me, and it was just amazing. So I came out of the operation room, came down to the recovery room, and on the way down, on the elevator, I told this guy, "There's something wet on my leg." He goes, "That's okay, you're just like drugs. This is like morphine we're giving you." And I said, "Okay, great," because I was. And then we got down there, he goes, "Oh my goodness, you are urinating." They hadn't even hooked me up yet. So I said, "Oh my goodness." I mean, I didn't say anything. I just didn't know there's nothing I can say about that. I'm on drugs anyway. So he says, they hooked me up with this catheter and all these things, and he said, "Well, we expect to get a liter of fluid in an hour from you." I got 3 liters of fluid. I went home in 2 days. Miraculous. Don't you think that could be a life changer? Didn't change my life. Because as soon as I got a little bit away from it, I began to say, piece of undigested meat. That's the struggle that we have, forgetting who we are. We even this whole idea that we're talking about the difference in the races. We know what the real thing is. We know that. We know that we are brothers. And I know we know it. We know that we're in love with each other. We know that we're all the same. And we know that people have had different social and experiences that make us not like us. But we know that we're all the same. We know it. We refuse to believe it. We refuse to believe it. We say that this guy is different than me. I like him, but he's different than me.
Hi again, hope you enjoyed this episode from my interview with Father Moses Berry. Please let me know what you thought of this episode in the comment section below. And please subscribe to get notified when new episodes become available, which happens every Friday. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.